My name is Janae Stracke, and this is On Air with Heritage Action, a podcast built for conservatives. Twice a week, we break down in 5-ish minutes or less how you can get involved today in the fight for conservative values. This week, with inflation continuing to skyrocket and the national average at the gas pump nearing $4.50, Congress is considering two spending packages. No, not to open up American energy production or address inflation, but instead to spend $65 billion on so-called COVID measures. $65 billion. Congress has been spending so many billions and trillions of dollars lately that Americans are becoming a bit desensitized to these outlandish numbers. And that's exactly what Democrats want. It's also one reason why we're at record high 40-year inflation. So first, let's put $65 billion in perspective. This year, as Russia was invading Ukraine, Congress only gave the defense budget a $25 billion increase from the president's requests. That's less than half of $65 billion. $65 billion is $950 for each tax-paying American household. 65 billion seconds is over 2,061 years. A quick reminder, we're only in the year 2022 AD. So 65 billion is really large. And joining us today to talk about what's in that 65 billion is Heritage Action's Director of Government Relations, Ryan Walker. Ryan, thank you for joining us. Tell us, what would these billions of dollars go towards, and who would actually be benefiting from this unnecessary bill?
That's a great question, Janae. So the first instance of this spending will kick off in the House. House Democrats are proposing spending $42 billion to aid or bail out restaurants, and another $13 billion for industries that were, quote unquote, heavily impacted by the COVID pandemic. Now, I think the natural question is, where does this money go? Does it go to mom and pop restaurants? Well, we don't think so. If that were the case and they were trying to keep these restaurants open, that would have happened 24 months ago. Instead, they're spending $42 billion on the back end of the pandemic. This will go to entities that have taken up aid in the past. They have well-connected and financed lobbyists to go and talk with and meet with Democrat members of Congress, and it will go to their friends, right? To Democrat lawmakers' friends, rather than the folks who truly, truly need it.
Yeah, Ryan, Biden also signaled in his State of the Union address a political shift for Democrats by saying COVID was over and Americans needed to get back to their lives, something that many of us have been doing for about 2 years now. But if politicians have caught up, why then does Congress need to pass another bill with billions of dollars for so-called COVID relief?
And I think that's a great question, right? While the administration is moving to end, along with the CDC, Center for Disease Control, the Title 42 program, which prevents individuals from coming across the border because of COVID concerns. While they're doing that, they're also trying to spend $60+ billion to bail out friends and allies of theirs for supposed COVID relief. So just think about that. The dynamic of ending Title 42, which is a basic health protection at our border to prevent infected individuals from coming across and entering into the United States. While they're ending that program, they're also spending $65 billion to bail out their friends.
Yet another fake urgency from politicians in D.C. So, Ryan, what should Congress be doing instead, and how can our listeners help?
Yeah, I think the first and most immediate need is we have spent $6 trillion over the past 18 to 24 months on COVID response, right? That spending needs to end. Instead of spending an additional $65 billion, why don't we go back and take a true accounting of where the $6 trillion has gone, what is still out there, and claw back any funds that have not been obligated or spent already? Because let's face it, President Biden, as you just mentioned, told us at the State of the Union that COVID and the pandemic were coming to a close, that we all had to begin to live with this. Secondly, I think that they should address food prices, gas prices, and the real drivers of inflation. Opening up American oil and gas exploration and extraction is key to solving some of those issues. Reducing regulatory burdens on how things are shipped, where they're stored, how they're approved for sale. Those types of things can help dramatically reduce the price of goods. And finally, the administration in this Congress should seek to end the COVID emergency measures, right? Get us out of this pandemic for good. It gives the administration and the Congress too much leeway in how they spend our hard-earned taxpayer dollars on a daily basis. So that's where they need to start. And I would recommend you contact your senators to start that conversation.
Ryan, thank you so much for joining us today. That's it for another episode of On Air with Heritage Action. Thank you for tuning in. If you like what you heard in today's episode, please click the follow button. If you want to receive a text message each time a new episode airs, text podcast to 51776 and you'll never miss an episode. That's podcast to 51776. Hi, it's me again, and we need your help. If you like the insights and activist resources we are providing, please take 1 minute and help us spread the word. Share this episode with friends and family on social media, email, or text. We need everyone's help in the fight to hold Washington accountable. And don't forget, you are also able to subscribe and listen to episodes on your smartphone. Just open up your favorite podcast app and search for On Air with Heritage Action. Click subscribe and download episodes so you can take them with you on the go. It's the best way to make sure you never miss a thing. Thanks.